calm, focus, happiness.
Hey, Mindful Tribe, welcome back to Mindfulness Mode. It's great to have you with us. And today we are talking about a topic that I'm passionate about, and that is the topic of podcasting itself. I'm here with a seasoned serial entrepreneur. He has a portfolio of over 15 successful ventures spanning over 5 countries. He's a dynamic podcast host and coach, and he has established 5 podcasts, 4 of which have soared to the top 0.5%, and with the 5th currently at 1.5%. Now he's just updated me on these stats, so he'll tell us what the stats are when we get onto the show. But I'm here with Roy Coughlan today, and this is going to be really cool. Roy, are you in mindfulness mode today?
No, absolutely. And Bruce, thank you very much for having me on the show. And you know what? I think I'll actually take the recording of that and put it as my intro, because you've done a beautiful job on that.
Oh, thank you, Roy. Well, this is just going to be so interesting because I have over 900 episodes and I don't know a fraction of what you do about podcasting. I'm pretty sure of that. So anyway, we'll start with mindfulness. What does mindfulness mean to you, Roy?
I think it's kind of being present in everything you do, not that your head is wandering. And it's not that I've always had that. It's just kind of the journey of life. And for example, if I go outside, I'm paying attention to the ants going on the ground, the butterflies, watching the birds from my window. When I'm with my son, I'm with my son. When I'm doing something, I'm not trying to do a few things at once, whereas the old me would have. And I think when you do that, it's like time slows down and life just becomes more beautiful.
It really does. Tell us what your son has taught you about mindfulness.
He's 9, he's going on 10, he's my youngest child, and it's like he's been here before, and it's strange to see. It's like he's very good with his intuition. My mother is excellent at it. I kind of skipped that bit. I mean, I'm getting better at it, but he's really good at it. And even I noticed it from a young age that, you know, the way some people, even when they go to an animal or they go to kids and they're all like, oh, hello, but they're fake, not the real ones. Like the real ones, a dog will go to the person, or a cat will go to the person, but there's people there, there's a fake. And he could spot that a mile away. Like he would tell me who he liked and who he didn't. And I'd have the same feeling of like, yeah, he's spot on with that. And so, and I think he's strange because like I would get a lot of toys from him, and I've realized, you know, getting the remote control car and everything, they're not for him. It's like we'd sit down and play games, or I got him into reading. I read a lot, so I done a competition of reading with him, and like he read 100 books last year as well. I read 100 books, and that's rare for a child to do that. Like, but he enjoyed the process, and he's just like most kids. They live in the moment, but the school system or whatever pulls it out of them. And he's going to a school system that's in Poland, that's copying the Finnish system. So they don't have homework. They can decide if they don't want to go into a class. Very creative. You know, they do languages, there's music there. And there's just so many different things, art and craft. And he is totally present. He's not saying, next week I'm going to do this. He's just in the moment. And I think that's mindfulness. And I kind of learn from him as well. We're learning from each other as we're growing.
Oh, that's really cool, Roy. So have you always been an entrepreneur, or did you have a job at one point that was more of a traditional kind of job?
So that's an interesting one. So when I was 9, I used to go around washing cars, delivering leaflets and gardening work. And then at 11, I started a newspaper around in my neighborhood. So I was doing that. I'd done that even up to college. But with the money from that, when I was 14, I bought a lawnmower. Then I used to go around cutting grass. I used to get people to go with me. And I would say, a third for you, a third for me, and a third for the lawnmower, you know, for kind of maintenance and things like that. Then I was doing motorbikes when I was around 18, buying and selling motorbikes. So I studied construction economics and management. And then I worked in construction as mechanical engineering kind of projects and electrical for about 12 years. During that time, I did set up another business doing kind of website design and everything. So it was always in me. And then from that moment when I moved to Poland, I set up the company just doing foreign property, you know, Polish property for foreigners. And it's just one company after the other. And it's like, haven't worked for anybody else since.
Oh, wow. Things have really clicked for you. And you grew up in Ireland, didn't you?
I did indeed,
Yeah.
in the south place called Cork, which is the biggest area, but the second in population. But beautiful.
Okay.
It's near the sea. So yeah, I love the city.
So then you started all these businesses. And what was the business that really fed you the most, that you just loved with a passion?
At one stage, it's weird how life goes, but
Yeah.
it was about, because I had studied construction, and I was like in doing designing and everything in college, and I started buying plots, building houses, building apartments. I built 30 apartments. But I suppose the real passion was renovating. When you see something that was just disgusting, and that was like, you would think you just demolished something, or apartments that were just horrible, and making it beautiful. I just get such a buzz from that. It's like you're making the world better. And I
Yeah.
love that. And how I say then it changes. I was doing so many, and like I was doing very well. And then the crash happened, and I had syndicates with big guys, and like some were worth 20 million. And I was, I had made my first million, but I was looking to make a bit more. And I was the president. And the reason I'm telling you this, it comes into how I got into meditation and everything. So
Yeah.
I was the president of all these companies in Poland.
Okay.
And not the solicitor or the accountant never told me that you're personally liable. So when things were going bad, I was doing very well, and I started putting more money into all these commercial property and everything. And the people that I was in business, they all lost everything. Like they've lost like hundreds of properties all around the world. So
Wow.
then the thing started crashing. And once one fell, they all fell. And then I realized, yeah, you're personally liable. So instead of making €5 million, I was personally liable for €5 million. And I lost a load of houses, but I had 3 in Ireland, lost my own, including my belongings. And it was like, whoa. So that's how I got into meditation. And was like, it was just fighting everything, because you're scrambling, you're trying to fix everything. And 6-phase meditation was the first thing that I done. And I was
Okay.
like,
Tell us
okay,
about that meditation process that you went into.
yeah. So it's kind of like, what are you grateful for is the main things that are kind of in that. It's like you're visualizing your days. Like, what are you grateful for? Whether it's a cup of coffee or just a hug from your child, the things that you're grateful for, because then you're attracting them. Because when you're in a negative mindset, or when you've lost everything, or whether it's a relationship breakup or whatever people are going through, you're always thinking of the negative. So stop. The way to do it is to change it to the positive, and you start thinking of all the beautiful things in your life. And the next one was a big one for me. It was forgiveness, because when you have anger in you, it's your own cells are being poisoned. The people that were fraudulent to me, and I mean like bailiffs as well, were like so corrupt. Courts were corrupt, but even different like builders and stuff like that, they had done tricky things. And you have anger in you, but it's you have anger in yourself. They're not at home thinking about you. And as soon as you can release that, like some are easy, but there's others it takes a while. It's not that you click your fingers and you do it the next day and you're out dancing. That's not the way it is.
Yeah.
But you eventually you start to forgive them, and it's like you become free because you no longer have that poison. So how it is when someone is telling the story. Sometimes people are like way down, they've relived it and the tears are flowing and everything, and it's like some people are going to a therapist for 20 years, that same kind of thing. Therapist that has a client for life kind of thing. So once you overcome that, then you're free. And the other thing then is like planning your day. So you'd be visualizing, what do I want to do today? And when you think about it, you kind of have a good chance of achieving it. Whereas most people, they just kind of, they choke through life and this kind of, what's going to come in front of me, that's what I do.
Yeah,
And then
that's
it's kind
true.
of like, and then it's like a year plan, kind of what would I really like to achieve this year? So I've always been kind of a goals guy with, what I'd like to do, how many books I'd like to read, how many different things. And I tend to achieve them because I'm kind of, but when you think about it as well, I think that the chances of it happening are 10 times better.
Yeah. So, Roy, how the heck did you get into podcasting from all of these businesses that you were doing? How did you make that transition and get so passionate? I guess you're passionate about everything you do from the sounds of it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that when you love what you do, because you love what you do, you love your podcast, and your podcast is very successful, and it's not a job. It's just life, because you have to love what you do.
Yeah, you
So
do.
when I got through that process of kind of clearing the decks and getting everything sorted, I eventually fixed everything. I went to an event in Mexico with Mind Valley, and it was What's Your Quest? And I was like, ooh, this is a good one, because I said, I'm after seeing the bailiffs bribing people in the room, bailiffs working with valuers, doing really crooked things, and then trying to catch me to be personally liable. That needs to be exposed. And I said, I need to start exposing all this stuff. I hated public speaking. So in school, if you were going around the class, my brain would freeze when there were about 5 people from me, panic mode. And it went the same when I was actually working in construction in Ireland. Like, I was running big jobs. And the one time I couldn't sleep at night was when I knew the meeting was on once a week with the clients. And I just kind of told myself a story. You hate public speaking, which, when I was at that event, I saw 2 brilliant speakers. And I said, I need to become a better speaker. I came back, I joined Toastmasters. And I tell you how shy I was. I brought 2 people with me to the first Toastmaster meeting. And I went, this is brilliant. Come on, we join. They were like, we don't have time. And I was too shy to go back myself. Again. Yeah. But there was a few months later, there was a new club opening. And I said, okay, everyone's going to be new. So I said, I'm going. They pounced on me, said, hey, do you want to join? I said, yeah, grand. Do you want to do a speech? Yeah. So I done a speech I was the first person to do a speech in the club. And then I joined the other club that I had originally been afraid of.
Yeah.
Then I formed a club, an entrepreneur club. Then I was a coach for a club. I done open mic TEDx. I did comedy. I got into the final of 5 countries. I just went all in, watched TEDx speeches, got booked. And I'm telling people now, don't ever tell yourself a story you can't do something. When you change and you decide, I'm going to do this, I want to do this, I know the benefit of it, you can do anything.
Yeah, that's awesome. I loved Toastmasters. I just loved it so much. I thought it was so much fun. And I love podcasting, as you know, but I don't have 5 podcasts. So you must have started with one and then tell me about
exactly.
the program.
I know I went on a tangent, but it's all related. So then I went to another event, and the guy was doing a workshop on podcasting, and I listened to podcasts, but I never actually thought of doing one. And I went, okay, I can do this. So even though everything was about kind of the awakening, exposing fraud, I said, I need to be careful with that one. So I did speaking, because I knew so many people around Europe with speaking. So that was the first one.
Yeah.
Then the meditation, because meditation really helped me. But when I had nothing, what happened is the ones that I liked disappeared, or else they started charging. And when you lose everything, you have to watch the pennies. And I said, that's not right. So the one that I created was free forever, because I met so many people around the world that actually do that. So I interview some of them give me different meditations, but I said, it's always free. I've got meditations from 1 minute to 2 hours, but it's just because I know it helped me. The next one was the Polish, and that's a funny one. Since I'm living in Poland, my brother's brilliant. He moved to Holland. He was fluent in 2 years. I don't have that ability. I have a different mindset. I'm a kind of a business mindset. So languages wasn't my skill, but I kept trying. I was doing Rosetta Stone and films. And then I said, I'm going to listen to a podcast to learn Polish, but they were scripted.
Okay.
And they are only in Polish. I hate scripted podcasts, and I hate when it's only in the language, because I could be thinking it means something else. So I actually formed that, and that's doing very well. You know, that's been #1 in a load of countries.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's
cool.
been, and over 2 million downloads with that one alone, between the audio and the video. Like, it's doing very well. So eventually I done the Awakening one. So that's the one exposed. And I actually, because you had asked me had I done a book, so I actually wrote a book, but I didn't release it, exposing all the fraud and corruption. But I was told if I released it, I'd be whacked, because I was exposing so much stuff. And
so what's the book called again?
It's called The Awakening.
Oh, the book is called The Awakening.
Yeah, but I just printed it without releasing it.
Right, it's not released. It's not.
But I was
exposing
charities.
Yeah, how dare you, Roy? People... shame on you.
But they know, people know, but then they didn't. You know, so
okay.
And that was that one. And the last one, it was the crypto. And the same thing, I could see so much fraud, but I didn't want to put the crypto into the Awakening, because I said not everyone's into blockchain technology.
Right.
I didn't want to hurt my existing listeners, because I said they could disappear. So I created that separately.
So are you still doing the crypto podcast?
I am indeed, yeah.
Yeah, because I thought everything about crypto seemed to just drop off and become invisible.
It goes through kind of phases, and like that's one of the things that I'm doing. I'm explaining exactly different things I've done. So there's the NFTs. NFTs were the best thing since sliced bread. Then NFTs are keep away from them, and like different platforms and everything you use, and you see. But I believe blockchain technology could be our saving grace, because it's kind of you don't have to be telling everybody what's going on. You can do it in a nice way. Like if you look at, say, the likes of PayPal, I mean, PayPal are ripping people off. People don't realize it. Like they're taking about 4%. You can only have one wallet. And people don't know that. You can have one wallet. Like, so if you're getting paid in euros and dollars and sterling, they'll charge you about a 4% conversion when they're changing it into your primary wallet. Why you can't have other wallets like Wise or Revolut? And then when you're sending it to somebody sent me 600 recently for something that I was doing, and they charged 23.90, nearly 24. Then I sent it on to people that was doing stuff for me. I said, I'm going to pay rather than them. I paid, and they still charged them. So if there's 10 people going around doing work with each other, PayPal's taking 100% of it. Like it's sickening. Like, so,
that's crazy.
Blockchain can stop that because there's very little transaction fees. And it's like, I mean, if you look at, say, the likes of Revolut, like you can transfer money immediately and they're not charging you for it. So we need to kind of get rid of the boys that are taking the money out of our pockets.
Right. Well, aren't you now coaching podcasters?
I am indeed, yeah.
So tell me about that. When did that start happening?
So what happened is, because you're aware of the Toastmasters, but basically I started doing, when I was getting into it, because I was getting into, like, I remember with the speaking podcast, got into the top of the charts, got into #1 in a load of countries, and seeing myself ahead of Duolingo and ahead of BBC and all these different ones. It was kind of like a buzz. So I started doing, speeches explaining it, or a workshop, and loads of people then started having a podcast, and they'd come to me and I was helping them, and then there was other people who would know I do it. But it got to the stage where, like, people were just kind of expecting you to help them. Mm-hmm. People were like, hey, I see you're doing thing, you can help me, and I'll give you a shout out kind of thing, like, or I'll give you a thumbs up, and you're like, this is a lot of time to do it properly. So I said, I'm not being respected for my time. So that's why I actually created the thing. And then when people write, I go, look, I got a free webinar that you can look if you want to do it yourself, but I'm there to help you. And it was more respecting myself, because I knew I was being abused. People weren't respecting my time.
Yeah, you have to be careful of that, don't you? So you have a free webinar. How do we find that?
Everything is actually on my link, the bio.link/podcast. So I've got the webinar, the course, the podcast, because I'm conscious that everybody's going through different parts of their lives, and sometimes people have lost everything as well. And it might be their way of, hey, I can do a podcast, and I might eventually start making money out of this, as well as I'm doing something else. So I don't want to be hurting. If somebody hasn't got the money, that's okay as well. And there's plenty of things in there. It's about a half an hour, but there's enough in it that will educate you to get started. And I mean, there's loads of different videos on YouTube that people can use themselves from different people. So you just have to put the effort in. So when you're coaching one-on-one, as you know yourself, I mean, it's a case of you're shortening the process, plus you've got all the knowledge.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to repeat that website a little slower, and it's bio.link/podcaster. And then you can go there and you can find out all kinds of things about what Roy is doing and what he offers and all that kind of thing. And it sounds like because you lost everything, that's what helped you grow and gain so much. Is that true?
Absolutely. I mean, at the time, you wouldn't think that.
No.
But when I look back, because to be honest with you, I had such plans for building massive things. I wasn't like, I built the 30 apartments. I had plans on building up to about 400 apartments. I had all plans for other sites and everything. And I've become a way better person for what's happened to me. It wasn't that I was a bad person. I was always kind of looking, I never treated people bad. I would talk to the cleaner the exact same way as a CEO. I never had that kind, but I don't think I was as happy in myself as I am now because of the journey, because I've realized what's most important in life. And it's the precious moments with friends and family, the different things that you do, that you're there, you're present, and not going, oh, when I get this car, I'm going to be this. When I have this house, I'm going to be this. No, it's all about the journey.
Wow. Yeah, it is all about the journey. That's right. Totally about the journey. And a lot of times we forget that. We just completely forget it. Hey, do you have a story about bullying? Were you ever bullied, or did you bully anyone? Or do you have a story about bullying where mindfulness would have made a difference?
I do, actually. I grew up in a really rough neighborhood.
Okay.
So I was very smart. Like, I'm 6 foot now, but when I was, my mom is, I think, 5'4". Mm-hmm. I was at a wedding when I was 17 and I was up to her shoulder. I didn't start growing till I was 18 or 19.
Really?
But she always told me, my brother was like a head above me. Like he was like, and I'm taller than him. And my mom kept saying, you're going to be taller than him, don't worry about it. But everybody wanted to bully the smaller guy. So I had fights every day. And I became I started doing boxing and stuff. I was like, but then I became a bully myself in school. It was kind of like lashing back at the thing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. But then I was getting bullied. I was kind of going through both. I was kind of getting bullied in the neighborhood, but in the school then. But it was kind of like, if you beat up someone, nobody touched you then. So that's what I kind of learned, that when you, like, I'll give an example. I remember this guy, he was so bad in my neighborhood. Like, one time he came along and shouldered me and we had a fight, and he kicked me on the ground and like really beat the crap, but he never touched me again because I fought back. The same guy was beating up his teachers. Wow. And like, this is like a young guy, like 14 or 13. Yeah. And so when you see that, it's kind of, but I've learned from that experience that never to just kind of quiver and give in, no matter how many people. So as I was telling you, I was doing the newspapers. So I was going around delivering the newspapers. 8 guys attacked me. They set my newspapers on fire. It was happening a lot. Like I got attacked a lot of times. Like, and they set my newspapers on fire. And a guy came to rescue me, and he said, "There's a kung fu club up in a certain area." Oh yeah. I was 16, and I joined that, and I done that for about 6 years or whatever. And I think my mindfulness from then, I didn't get into fights after that because I knew my ability. Because it's like the podcast now, anything I do, I kind of go all in. I don't just kind of tip around. I really train hard. I was practicing at home and getting good at it. And it was like, I think when you have the ability to fight, I didn't fight. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
And so with the martial arts, after that, people didn't attack you, people didn't beat you up and stuff. Is that right? Or maybe by that time you had grown to 6 foot something.
No, I wasn't. I was still small. But I think, I think people can see it in you. They know when you're confident.
Oh yeah, they can tell by the way you walk, the way you carry yourself.
They see people going across or crossing the road, the head is down. They go for that guy because they go, that guy's afraid. Whereas if you stand in your ground, and I was standing in my ground, and like I could even diffuse a lot of cases. If we were going to a club and I saw fights with friends, I was able to calm it down. Like, and I think it was just my ability of knowing that I could handle myself, but never being the aggressor. And that was something I was happy about, because I didn't like the fact that, I remember one guy said to me, "Oh, you were a bully in school." And I was like, I felt bad when I heard that, but it was kind of just me lashing out and kind of thinking I have to be a bully or they're going to be bullying me.
Right. It's kind of like defending yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So you have the podcast called Awakening. Does that mean you have personally had an awakening?
It's kind of, it's about, well, I suppose it was like, that was the reasoning, because we all have our belief system and we think life is good. And, I grew up thinking, oh, the government's got my heart, the school system's good for you. And then like the health system's good for you. And it's just like kind of saying, and slowly but surely watching different things. And I think that was me. And it's kind of me then telling people what to do. But I'm never like, because especially in the last 4 years, there's people on one side or on the other side, or whether it's politics, whether it's about medicine, whatever it is, there's always a belief system and people are attacking. So I'm never pushing my agenda. I'm just giving information on why I believe this. And I'm kind of having facts, because like there's a lot of people out there saying stuff, and it's like kind of take off the layers. They say, who's they? According to sources. Yeah. Who's the source? Who's paying for the source? And it's, as once you start taking off the layers, that's the awakening, to be honest with you. And it's like no longer can people treat you, because one of the things that I've done is I've kind of went deep into sovereignty, UCC, common law, because I saw the police haven't got our hearts. You see them beating people up for peaceful protests and everything. It's like they're all corporations. Countries are corporations. And when you start learning this, when we were born free, but yet they think they can control us. Yeah. And you can take it back, but it's just knowing the rules that they're playing at. And that's what I'm doing as well. I'm sharing that information, but never in an aggressive way, never in a pushy way. Just, this is it. If you can go away and decide. And I even say that to people. I say, look, don't take what I said to heart. Go away and investigate it yourself. Because I've often done that. You probably have done that as well. You get a guest on your show and you go, that's interesting. But it doesn't necessarily mean what they've just said is true. But you can go away and get a few books and you go, wow, okay, now I have a But a lot of people, unfortunately, I think the ego gets in the way because they know they're wrong. There's facts out there proving no. But they still won't kind of go put their hand up and go, I was wrong. I think the ego. So we have to kind of let people know it's okay to be wrong. We've all been wrong. You can change your mind.
Yeah, we definitely have to let people know that. That's for sure. Roy, as we move forward in the interview, I want to ask you 5 quick answer questions. So just 30-second answers are perfect. The first one is this. Who is one person who has been a powerful mindfulness influence in your life?
My mother.
Oh, your mother. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because basically, like, even intuition and just like she said to me when I was younger, I remember, like, you're not hanging around with him, and I'd be fighting back. I was a rebel. Like, she said, no. People that she told me not to hang around with. One alcoholic, another ended up in jail, another died from drugs. She knew. And even in business, the people that I had got into business with that didn't go right, she was telling me no, and I was saying, I know that person 5 years. She goes, I'm telling you, don't trust them. And she was dead right.
Wow,
so she's amazing. The best. She's a ninja.
Yeah, that is amazing. How has mindfulness affected your emotions and how you deal with your emotions?
I don't react. I'll give you a quick example. Like, I remember I'd collect my child from school when he was very young, maybe from kindergarten or whatever. Yeah. And he'd fall asleep and you bring him in, and then he'd be crying and cranky. And then I'd be upset with that. I'd be like, I don't need this. You have to go through your day. And then I realized he's just tired. Yeah. And just cuddle him. And then it was grand. And it's like, from that moment, it's like watching everything, and just even in car, like if someone is beeping, I'm always conscious. I don't know what's going on in their life. They could have had a fight with their spouse. They might have had a break. They might have been fired from their job. They mightn't be able to afford the rent. And unless it's something that's really dangerous, I long to harm, but otherwise I won't, because most people are looking in their mirror, they're panicking, and they could have a crash later on. So I don't have road rage either. I just really calm driving.
That's cool. Well, let's talk about breathing. So do you have any comments or thoughts about breathing and how it applies to mindfulness?
When I went to these different events, that was the first time I've ever kind of done breath work. I think it was the first one, What's Your Request, was the first breath work session that I'd done. And I remember, like, there was a good facilitator, but like there was people releasing trauma. And I was kind of like, so I'm going through this, I'm tripping, you're tripping from breathing. And you're like, this is weird. This is brilliant. I feel fantastic. Yeah. But you see people then screaming as like they've been realized, something bad's happened. So I always kind of encourage people, if you're going to go deep in this, don't just go on the internet. You need somebody that's there to comfort you and talk you through it. But I've tried maybe 10, 15 different facilitators. I've actually, bought courses on listening to breathwork from 4 minutes up. And I don't kind of need it that I have to do it. It's just like there's times when that you're out of alignment, I might go, okay. But I'm conscious of breathing. I just even say, like, if the odd time you might just feel tired, or you might just have your full energy. You just a lot of deep breaths and you're grand. It's so powerful. And I started doing ice baths. So in Poland, there's like this, it's fairly popular that you go into the lakes. So I've done lakes, and it's all about the breathing. You see people.
Yes, it is. Like, I do it too. It's all about it. I do Wim Hof stuff.
I can go, yeah. So I actually met Wim Hof. I done an ice bath in Jamaica first.
Cool.
Yeah, and it was so funny. He's a lovely guy. I got to talk to him for a while. And so that's different. You get out of a nice jacuzzi into the 30 degrees. Yeah, it's no problem, 30 degrees centigrade. But when you go in Poland, it's like the very first time I done it, it was a friend of mine who was encouraging me to do it. And it was like -10 at that stage, which wasn't the brightest to be doing that, -10 degrees centigrade. So like they're getting hatchets to cut this. And it's a big thing in Poland. Like you could have 200 people around watching, and it's just good fun. Oh yeah. And I was running on the spot to keep warm. They keep their hand up. My boxers or the swimming trunks fell down. So I had to put my hand under the water. And the thing is, I understood at that moment why people are keeping their hands above and having a thing, because it's very hard to put on your socks and dry yourself if your hands are numb as well, because your whole body turns red. But you feel fantastic. The energy you get from it. I highly encourage people to do it.
Yeah, it's amazing energy. Yeah, it's just incredible. And it's hard to describe until you've done it. That's for sure. I love it. Absolutely love it. Yeah. My next question is about a book. Is there a book that you would recommend that is related to mindfulness?
I've just because it was a girl I had on, and that was a decent book. Therapeutic mindfulness,
Okay. Therapeutic
and
mindfulness. What's the
yeah,
author's
and
name?
it's Ruth Fair now,
Okay.
and it's spelled like FERNOW. And why it was interesting to me is because I'm working with a guy that's actually helping people with anxiety and stress, and
Yeah.
he's kind of realized it's in the body. And when a therapist is writing about that as well,
Yeah.
it's kind of confirming it, whereas most
Yeah.
people, like, because I kind of mentioned earlier, sometimes people have a therapist for life,
Yeah.
and they think, oh, he's brilliant, and it's like, yeah, he's a brilliant business person, but he's not a brilliant therapist, if they
Right.
really cared about you. And she's kind of combining the two, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
She's not totally body, but she's explaining the different things in the body, how you feel. And I think
Yeah.
it's a good one to just kind of get in touch. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm always reading like different books, like I
Yeah.
just, yeah, you just find
Yeah. I
something.
read a lot of books too, and I just love reading. Totally. Any my final question is about any apps. Are there any apps that you recommend at all? Any kind of apps?
No, I know there's like Insight Timer and things people use, but
Yeah.
I don't. I'm trying my best to stay away. Like I don't have notifications
Yeah.
on the phone. I
Oh,
mean
that's good.
I need it for the social media and stuff like that. But it's a case of try to keep away from it or have it on silent. And if you're going to be like this times now with my son, like if we decide, okay, let's watch a movie or whatever, phone stay outside.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
everybody knows got to the stage where they're so regarding apps, yeah, there is ones that are good, but I think best
Yeah.
is if we had the older phones, the Nokias with no
Yeah.
smartphones, I think we would have been better off. So you can still ring somebody, but we're being addicted, and the best thing is to try to limit the time that we have
We
on it.
are definitely being addicted. Yeah, there's no doubt about that at all. Well, as we wrap up the interview, Roy, do you have any final words of advice for our Mindful Tribe listeners?
I would say that always be open to learning something new. Don't push your belief system that's what it is. Like, as I mentioned with the speaking, that's the same with everything. Like sometimes people say, I can't meditate, my head does 90. Find 50 different types till you find something that works. I say to people, if you're fishing, you're in mindfulness. If you're playing golf, you're just find something that works for you, that brings you that calm. It's not that, like, some people think you have to sit in a lotus position and everything is black and you feel nothing. I mean, you're thinking, you're breathing, you're thinking. Like, so just find something that resonates with you, that makes you feel better. And start off small, 1 minute, 5 minutes. Don't bother saying, oh, I don't have time to meditate. That's when you probably should do a bit more.
Yeah.
And just you'll know yourself. I think I know I'm in flow and I'm walking and everything. When something's out of alignment, straight away I know there's something wrong and I adjust it immediately. And I think when you work on yourself, instead of going to doctor, going to somebody else and just letting them look after you, look after yourself. And that way you're more in flow and you're more in tune with nature.
I totally agree, Roy. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for being on mindfulness mode, Roy.
No, thank you very much. And I would just like to let the listeners know you're doing very well, but make sure you give Bruce a 5-star rating, share with your friends, give a nice comment. If it's Spotify, there's 3 dots. You don't have to give a comment. There's no comment on that. Just give 5-star. It all helps, because what happens is the algorithms will push it up the charts. More people will see it. So make sure you do that, because he's a fantastic interviewer. There's very few out there that interview like this. He's got a skill set, and that's why he's lasting so long, and he's got like nearly 4 million downloads. So please do that for him.
Thank you so much, Roy. All the best to you. Bye now.
All right. Thank you.